Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 295 of our podcast together. Big shout out
again.
First off to our patrons. Thank you all for signing up this week and everybody else who resubbed up. We love your faces. Patreon gets you access to After Dark, our podcast after the podcast, and special stuff and things and a virtual high five.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody who
Big
signs up.
emphasis on the virtual high five and the thanks.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
and After Dark.
Yeah. And After Dark. I was going to mock
Equal emphasis all across the board.
Yeah, that's fair. It might be 30, 30, 30 with 10% remaining.
Just for us.
To be decided.
Just for us. We saved that for self-esteem.
Yeah. I didn't know our private league ended. I guess that's
End
true.
of the month. That's today.
Yeah.
I think it ends in, is it end at 10 or at noon?
I'm looking right now. I didn't even realize. Let's see. It still shows that it's running. It's odd. It doesn't say end time. It just says elapsed time. It's supposed to end at 3 p.m. our time today. So
okay,
when you hear
so
this,
we'll talk
it's
about
over.
it in After Dark.
Yeah, we can. We can actually see the results. Who knows what'll happen in the last few hours?
Oh, it's going to be exciting.
Go, 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 go. Do you remember that? Go, 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 go.
Oh man, when we were driving past that place in the bug.
In the bug. Yep.
I used to drive, my mom used to have a 74 Beetle and VW Beetle. And so we would drive it everywhere because, I mean, I was one of the first to get our license, but everybody got the license kind of around the same time. But the vehicle was more readily available for myself than it was for other people in our friends group. So I was able to drive it lots, but it was a Beetle. So it was also fun because it was so small. So we would always try and pack as many people as we could in there without getting in trouble. But then there was the unique aspect that the floor had literally rotted away in some places. So
plus
if you
had
would
a
lift
foot
up
for the gas pedal, which was awesome.
it was literally a foot. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Not a real foot, but in case people think we're that morbid, but
That
you would lift
cool.
up the floor mats, right? That normally are just there to keep the car clean. And it's easier to clean your car when it needs to be cleaned. But you would lift up those floor mats and you would just see the road flying by underneath you because the rotted holes were so big. And so it was like the Flintstones, but of course you didn't want to use your feet. And so it was pretty thrilling. It was pretty exciting in that 74, but go, 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 go.
Yeah. How was your week?
I had a good week, man. Weather's been gorgeous. It's been summertime for us
Hot
this week.
too.
Yeah, it's been really good. Everything's awesome. There's been like nothing going on really.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's been really nice. Yeah, it has been. It has been. Couple coffee dates and had a guy, a laborer was going to come and do some work in our bathroom for a little bit. Some of the elbow grease stuff that I should be able to do, but I can't. And poor guy lost, just before his appointment, lost his sister.
Oh, damn. That sucks.
Yeah, really too bad. And so, but one of those situations where they had to choose if they were going to pull the plug or not because they were just comatose and kind of thing. And so that's just, so it just adds such a heavy layer to the heavy questions of life. And so our first appointment was just us talking about like the deepest questions in life. And we didn't even get to like the work that needed to be done in the bathroom just because it was just so recent for him, but he wanted the work to distract himself. And no, he didn't. No, I'm not. I wasn't paying $60 an hour for the conversation.
Yeah.
But,
that's good.
it was, like normal life, but like normal life happened to him and a heavy season. And so I ended up talking with the person that was going to be doing the work for a couple hours instead. And then they came back and did it again. But,
cool.
The little things in life that happen to other people that remind you about how wonderful things are in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So.
True.
Well, I guess it wasn't a little thing that happened to them, but you know what I mean. So my heart goes out to the individual if they ever hear this. But for us, we have been fantastic and it's great. And it is tomorrow going to be June. Tomorrow, as of recording, going to be June. And that's the last month of school for the kids. All of a sudden, it's camping. All of a sudden, it's summer. All of a sudden, it's, oh yeah, I was going to sign my kids up for this sporting event last September and it's already the end of the school year. That's what time of year it is, just.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Did you have a week or did you just teleport from one podcast to the other?
Sorry, something got stuck there. My week. Look, the weather's beautiful. So
cup half full, cup half full.
That's good.
Okay.
My week was it was very, very busy and meeting after meeting. And I don't really like meetings. Like I like being busy, but I don't like meetings. I feel like I'm not able to get my work done. This week was just mostly meetings, and I hate government stuff. Dealing with like compliance and governments, get out of here. I don't have time. Man. Yeah, I don't have time for that shit. So that was my week, and then
Dad swore.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Whoops.
But and what else did we do? And it was brutal. Like I went into one meeting in the afternoon on like, so first off on Monday, at the end of the day, I'm talking to Christina in the kitchen, and I was talking about something, and I was, just talking about this, what I had been dealing with that day. And she said something to me, and it struck me a little bit weird. And I was like, what day is it? And she's like, it's Monday. I legit thought it was the end of the week on Monday evening. So that sucked. And then I went into a meeting on Tuesday. It was, I think, the third one, and it was about 2:00. And I was like, guys, I'm done. My brain does not work. I don't want to be here. So like, we're wrapping this up in 30 minutes. So we like powered through it. I was in another one on yesterday. I'm in one of our boardrooms, and somebody comes over and kind of looks at me through the window as I'm in a meeting, and they're like doing the number one finger at me, and they're like pointing at me, and it's 1:30. And I'm like, what do you want? Like, come in the door. What are you talking about? And they come in, they're like, I was supposed to meet with you at 1:00. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I'll come see you. And I'm like, my week sucked. It was just not fun. I didn't get to play any games almost at all. What is going on?
I played unbelievable, Justin. Get a new job
on Monday, which was fun with you guys. That was fun. Doing Monaco. Gotta love it. I played F125 with Chris for like 20 minutes probably on Wednesday. He was like, hey, we should play. I'm going to record video and we'll say we played all night. I'm like, sure, man. Let's do a couple 5-lappers. So we played some F125, which was fun. And then I was just looking for something to do. I had one or two nights where I played a game called The Planet Crafters. It's just like a chill building planet game. Yep. And and then I went to bed. We're watching the final season of Handmaid's Tale. Mm-hmm. Handmaid's Tale. We watched all of them. It's a great show. And then that's it, bud. I dealt with kids, which is fun.
I like kids.
Hey, the one good thing about going into June is that's 1 month away from me going to see the doctor, which I like.
That is good. Yes.
June 11th. So
I'm sorry your week was crap.
It wasn't crap. It wasn't busy doing the things I would like to be busy doing. Mm-hmm. And that just, it gets draining a little bit sometimes. And there was some good news sprinkled in there. I just can't really say much about it, but it was, I did a lot of barbecuing in the evenings because I actually let Logan barbecue last night. He really wanted to barbecue some chicken burgers and some burgers. So he's not barbecued before. So I helped him. True. He did the whole thing, which he enjoyed, except he's like, it's really hot. I'm like, yeah, it's a barbecue, man. It's fire.
It's a 400-degree Fahrenheit fire.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It was good overall. It was fun. I went and hung out with Maya one day in the afternoon outside in the backyard, which I have not done in a long time. So yeah, good week. Good busy week.
I am glad.
Lawns are obviously looking great, even with this. What?
Did we say hi to Will?
Yeah, I did.
Hi, Will. Thanks for signing up.
Patreon, sorry, just FYI. Gets you access to After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast.
That part. I don't know.
I did. I always do. I'm Ron Burgundy, Ty. If it's written, I read it.
I know, but
also
I don't know if I zone out or if you do it too quick.
No, I also remember writing the message on Patreon. But anyway, lawns are looking good. It's getting close though, where you're gonna have to start watering if you want to keep it green, because it's getting hot, man. It was pushing 30 degrees. Well, I cut mine relatively long. Well,
You're starting to want to. You used to keep it really short.
Yeah, I used to. I also have to give credit because I haven't been able to actually cut my lawn in a long time. So
your son's barbecuing and cutting the lawn. He's doing all the cool things.
We've been trying to get my son more into it. My dad does a lot, but Logan now it's time, kid. You got muscles. Get out there, push it. So, but we cut it longer ever since the grubs. When my guy said, like, if you want to really avoid grubs, you're going to need to cut it a little bit longer. I was like, all right, longer it goes, because those grubs are awful.
Yeah, they're a pain. So they're gross to look at. Just white.
You don't even. I never really. I mean, I did see them, but not often, because by that time the friggin' raccoons and crows had torn the shit up. So, but I'm gonna have to figure out if it's time to water. Am I watering it this year? I'm gonna water it this year, obviously.
Totes.
What do we got this week in PoE? Already this week in PoE, we're just flying.
Yeah, that's right. It's gonna be a 30-minute episode. No, actually, there's lots to talk about.
Is there? I've seen chatter.
Do you care about PoE 1? Like,
we're gonna talk about it. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Yeah, we have to. I mean, there's 326 coming out, right?
I don't know if you care about that.
Yeah, I still do, for sure.
Okay.
Because they all affect each other. The stuff that happens in PoE 1 still affects PoE 2. It just does.
It just does. Well, Secrets of the Atlas has some QOL things coming in.
Right. I saw some posting.
I haven't been paying much attention to it, but apparently Zana's coming back in it. Which is their thing. Yeah.
They actually said that?
That was, yeah. It was. I don't know if it was confirmed beforehand or if Tri was just being funny, but Tri interviewed Jonathan yesterday or the day before for an hour and a half.
Okay.
And talked barely about Path of Exile. Jonathan.
Okay.
Rogers.
About Path of Exile 1?
Well, he had him on for PoE 2, but he asked one Path of Exile 1 question. So anyway, in his question, he threw out that Zana was coming back. And then he joked after the question that it was like, an emergency, like they almost were a year between leagues. So it's like they hit the emergency glass and brought Zana out to save the day type of thing. So,
Jonathan made that joke, or?
No, Tri, but Jonathan didn't deny anything. But I don't know if that was common knowledge before, because it didn't seem like a big deal in the conversation that they were having.
They have pause now in PoE 1, finally.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is actually really good. And also, go ahead.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I get why anybody would want pause, but why now?
I don't know why they didn't bring it out in the past, but I'm glad they finally did it, because if I want to give a skill point, let me give a skill point without dying. And I like that. So yeah, I don't know why now either. But
when I was talking to Aaron, I was thinking so they don't plan their game around hardcore, and they don't plan their game around solo stuff on Path of Exile 1. And this is before Path of Exile 2. And sure, things could have changed in the background, but that's what they always said, right? It revolved around league trade.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's things that they could or couldn't do to, I don't know, like choices that they would make that maybe would be specifically about a specific thing, like hardcore mode or something like that. So I don't mind games that you can't pause. I've loved all the Dark Souls games, Elden Ring, that kind of thing. I have no issue with not pausing Path of Exile as well. But obviously it wouldn't be inconvenient if they added it. Like, it's not a feature that you can't pause the game. It's just an extra element of the hardcore, this game is difficult, I really need to pick and choose when I make my choices. So the only thing that I could think of was that, and of course, I mean, there's going to be 100 other, and I'd love to hear what other people have to say about it, but the only thing that I could think of was Path of Exile 1's not their baby anymore. It's there, and they love it, and they're going to do their best to sustain it, but it's not their baby anymore. Path of Exile 2 is their baby. So now they don't really have to care as much. I'm not saying they don't care, but I'm saying they don't have to care as much about the cheap things that people can do. So in hardcore and Path of Exile 1, that's something that they did try and fix in Path 2, but you could just exit real quick in Path of Exile 1, right? If you're in hardcore mode, you're about to die, you just exit the game and you're good. But not being able to pause, sometimes you would die through that process, right? Now adding that pause feature makes it so that as soon as you pause it, you're like, okay, I'm still not dead. Now I can exit the game and I'm still alive in hardcore mode. So I could see that being a reason why they wouldn't add a pause feature. I don't think that would be the reason they wouldn't add it, but like one of those little things that I could think of that okay, this like actually negatively impacts the game if we're caring about hardcore mode. So we don't really want to add the pause feature. But now that Path of Exile 1's not their little boo per se, it's just, there for fun, then maybe you don't have to care about those little things anymore, right? So if now you know how to add it, now you can throw it there and not really care if it impacts the hardcore experience because it's the old game.
I feel like though you're maybe focusing on just one aspect, because I mean, I get where you're coming from on the hardcore side, but there are so many instances in Path of Exile 1 where the game pausing makes it just better. Like when you're trying to get a skill point, applied to your character and you don't want to leave the map or wait till the end of the map to do it. I don't see the downside to being able to. I mean, the fact is, though, a lot of players were playing with something that let you just hit a button and you were automatically logging out in hardcore anyway. So I don't know that it's necessarily being added because of or as a reason to hardcore. I think
you mixed up what I was saying. I was saying the opposite. The reason they weren't adding pause was because of how you could be cheap in hardcore. Like I was trying to think of a reason that they wouldn't, because there's so many positive reasons to add it. You know what I mean? That was the only thing I could think of why it took so long.
It's possible, but they would have known that people were just using the option to click a single button to auto log out. So I that could have been a reason why they didn't add it. But once you put it into Path of Exile 2, for me, I've seen people joke about the sort of the dad life or the dad gaming. For me, pause is amazing because I can just like hit the button, deal with other stuff I need to deal with, and come back to it. So and then the auto pause when you're within features, I think is great. So I love that it's there. I mean, I don't know how much Path of Exile 1 I'll play, but I do like that it's there. I wish it was there a long time ago, but whatever. I am curious too, like when you said with regards to like Path of Exile 2 is their baby. I wonder if that's shifted a little bit for them, or if they're trying to find a way to balance between the two, because Path of Exile 1 has been obviously what made them money because that's the only thing that existed. Path of Exile 2 is doing well. It's doing better. But Path of Exile 2 is also sort of where they're experimenting a little bit more with stuff, or new things are coming out. So you always run the risk of, are people happy with it? And if they're not happy with it, they're not paying money with it. So I would imagine there has to be some internal conversations where they're trying to figure out what this balance is going to be with Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2. Mm-hmm. Because I thought I heard someone say somewhere that they were coming out with 3-month cycles with Path of Exile 2, like that they were going to do. Did I hear that right? I thought I saw.
Tri brought up a few things. He throws in comments with his questions and then you get a little bit more if Jonathan confirms or doesn't confirm something. And in this last thing, Jonathan was talking about how, whether they intentionally did it or not, at the beginning of Path of Exile 2, and like when they first came out with the beta for this whole year, it's been more, we're not releasing this until the content is ready. So he used the example of, you have to choose, and you can only have one priority. You can't do both. You release when the content's ready, or you have a firm date, right? If you have a firm date, you can cut stuff to make the date. But if you have a requirement for specific content, then you have a flexible date, right? And so he said, so far for this whole beta, they've had a content focus thing. So we've seen the inconsistency of, and not like it's a bad thing. I personally don't care, but there's pros and cons to both. But they were saying that they've had a content focus. That's been their priority. And so that's why you've had the inconsistent releases with major patches and balance fixes and all this kind of stuff. And it was also part of how that impacted Path of Exile 1's life currently, right? Having 325 or what? Yeah, 325 last for so long. So he said now they're going back to a date specific focus. And so they're going back to, this is the date, and we're going to do our best to include everything that we want to, but we are going to be happy to cut whatever we need to make sure that it's just ready for another date instead. We're going to make sure that the players have a date that they can focus on and rely on and come back to. And I think maybe because that's the way that they've always done it, that's something that helps them be a lot more efficient as well. Just their company and their setup and the way that they've always done things. You kind of go back to home and you can just have that kind of efficiency. You're already used to knowing how to cut things and bring things back. So there was, within that conversation, there was not like an official confirmation, but they're going back to like the attempt of 4-month leagues is the thing. So it's going to be, the year's going to be cut into thirds, and they think they're at a good place. They actually haven't come out with both games leagues yet, but they think they're at a good place now going forward for being able to maintain both games. So this is kind of like the beginning of them kind of resetting their structure, getting back to what it is that they really appreciate, trying to find a new schedule. And they think they have a good thing starting going forward of, having 4-month leagues and maintaining both games. So we'll see.
I don't know if I like that. I am with Path of Exile 2. I know that people want to play new stuff, so I get the importance of having a date so that you consistently have something new being brought in. But I feel like they've been just bringing new things in as they come along. But Grinding Gear Games has just never been great with dates. So all of a sudden going to that with Path of Exile 2, I guess we'll see how it goes. But I would rather content versus them giving me a date. But I guess we'll see. What that looks like.
Yeah. I guess so. I mean, at some point, the stuff is going to come out. And you don't always have to hold things for a specific launch when it's beta. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be so much insane content that does need to come out before the end of before the actual game is officially released anyway. So we'll see how it goes.
But then doesn't that mean they're going to hold stuff anyway? I mean, if they decide that they're going on a 3-month cycle and the druid or something is not ready for the next release, so then are they holding the druid until the next 3-month cycle? Because like I don't know, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it plays out. But I didn't mind the idea that I would rather them come out with a big chunk of content, and that was their. I didn't even need them to be leagues, but that was their new rollout of a new league, if you want to call it, or season. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
I'm personally apathetic to the method that they choose. Just as long as they're able to release what they release well, or at least with the ability to, after it's released, be able to focus on it for a while and make sure it's in the state that they want it in for the game. Right.
That's why a 3-month cycle concerns me.
Right. Sure. Well, I mean, that was something that they would release something, they would fix it temporarily, and then it would be kind of lost for a while. Right. Like it would take a long time to come back to a league and fix it and touch it up. Right. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, things are changing, and Jonathan's interview was wonderful. Tri did a fantastic job. Jonathan was as humble as it gets, and he was not just willing to hear all possible improvements that could be made to the game and questions, but just the attitude that he had with content and things that needed to be fixed, where things were. It was just humility across the board, and it was a very impressive interview. So no matter the direction that they choose, I have faith it's just gonna get better. It'll get there. Whether it's fun in the process, I don't know. But that was the stuff that happened with Path of Exile. And then they're making changes to Betrayal.
Well, the map device too is now get like its little baggie that connects to it.
I
love hearing Mark be the voice through these things, because I know Mark loves this stuff, and like he's so, I don't know, he's just always been good at making changes to Path of Exile 1. So hearing him talk as he goes through it, I feel like I can hear his excitement for, the things that they're updating. But yeah, I saw the little baggie that's attached to the Atlas now, or the map device.
Well,
why does it say Atlas and map device quality of life? Did I forget what the Atlas part was? I'm trying to remember now the Atlas for PoE1.
Well, it's just you can just add whatever it is that you're using, like scarabs. So it's not just,
well, that's all
it's
map
basically
device.
everything it's basically anything you can put into your map device. But I guess it was just simply referencing the fact that impacts the Atlas. But
I'm just quickly,
I don't think you're out to lunch. I don't think you forgot anything.
It's weird that they called it Atlas and map device quality. Anyway.
And then betrayal improvements. So you no longer unlock your betrayals. You no longer unlock
June stuff. Yeah.
That by IDing it or unveiling it.
You get
and
to
I actually
yourself.
don't. But I see this as an improvement. But I always hated how crafts unlocked in Path of Exile.
Yeah,
like it was actually something that you would click, and it was, so as a result, it was also something to not notice and miss. And so now they've added
more of them.
All these way more. But at least it's not based on RNG now. So that's the positive aspect of it. You know ahead of time, or I mean, once it's discovered, then the community knows
what
ahead of time.
What is the point of June and Betrayal now?
As an individual, as an NPC?
Well, no, just in general, like Betrayal then just becomes the end houses, right? Like what else are you chasing down? Like Betrayal, the reason I always did Betrayal was for the unveils. But if the unveils now are no longer related to that, although I guess some are still drops, whereas some are map crafts. So,
well, I mean, there's a benefit to getting the unveiled items, right? You can unveil them yourself now. You don't even need the NPC anymore, which is nice. But it's one of those things where you would. It's the same. It's the same.
It's not though. If they move some of the crafts to the little crafting thing within a map, I don't know what percentage are now crafts that you find within maps versus crafts that are on unveils. But if it's less that are found through unveiling, does that mean you're not needing Betrayal sooner? Or like, I don't know. I'm not.
Oh, you're just talking about the investment on the Atlas passive tree. Yeah, I think it saves you. I like it in that regard because I think it saves, like a lot of people would just invest in Jund right off the bat, just to get those unveils and figure that stuff out and then respec into something else. And it's nice because it just saves you that step now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see though, like if they put some of the really good ones, which I imagine they will, into the T16 maps. You kind of could have gotten lucky with June earlier on to get one of the crafts you need, and now if that's no longer available and you have to get deep into red maps before you're going to find it, that sucks a little bit, but yeah, it's cool.
So anyway, that's PoE 1. Zana, Betrayal.
I'm just seeing this new crafting socketable preview.
Yeah, so now we're on to PoE 2.
Sorry, I'm just moving through your tabs, but
yeah.
Is this new? When is 0.2.1 coming out? That's not out yet, right?
No, it's not, but they're just talking about end game chase stuff. So stuff that actually helps your items get better. So they're showing some examples of runes that you can put into your gear that are way more powerful, like movement speed or plus to gem levels and things like that. Yeah.
That's cool.
I love that they have a body armor one.
Yeah, I see that.
Because it's so mind-boggling to me that one of the basic 3 defenses is still completely useless and pointless, and still, like,
which one?
We're talking
which one?
like armor.
Oh, yeah.
Is my camera fine?
Yeah. Why?
Okay. I'm getting an error that it's really low frame rate.
Oh, no, looks fine to me. 10% taken from mana before life. I mean, if you could actually put that in, because you can get 2 up to 3 slots if you get a lucky thing. That's 30% damage taken from mana before life. That could be pretty strong. But yes, I do agree.
It's like armor band-aid. It's like the only way to use armor. Anyway, I just find it funny that that's still not part of the discussion. Not such a high priority.
Those socketables are pretty sweet though.
Yeah, they are. Like so that'll be neat. I'm just really curious how, like, sockets aren't really a thing at the beginning of leveling.
Well, they're trying to make that better, though. They have definitely made it better in one of their more recent ones where you can get. But
with my current playthrough, I couldn't salvage one socketable item. I didn't see one socketable item until Act 3.
But they all these runes that are dropping 1 and 2 things you can click on to get them.
And when you like, those artificer
quest rewards, or you find them, there's a guaranteed drop for them at certain spots.
I think that's they gotta change how that works for the first couple acts for sure. Because what am I going to do? I use a transmute on an item, and it gives me what, plus 30 mana.
I think you need to get more
accuracy. I need
drops. For sure.
Yeah, for a rune, like I'm getting tons of runes in the first 2 acts. I have nothing to use them on. And if I get like equivalent. 6 artificer orbs, I'm not using them on just some, sweet, I got like 3 extra resist on this one compared to my other one. So I'm going to switch this out and use an artificer orb so that I can get even more resist. Like that's just a waste. Like,
but you should. It should be at a point where you do that. I think it should be at a point where you do that.
It should almost be spammy at the beginning so that you can replace, like, okay, I know this boss, I'm coming up. Kind of like if you were thinking of, because I don't know the bosses really well yet. So if I'm going up to like, I think, Geonor would be a hilarious example because sure, you're trying to protect against cold, but then all of a sudden there's corrupted blood. It's like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do against that? But if you know what boss is coming up, kind of like with Merveille or Dominus or whatever, you know what kind of damage they primarily do. And so then you would permanently replace your sockets.
Well, you wouldn't your runes. Yeah. I mean, in PoE 1, you would look for the actual base types that have that. But yes, I think they need to.
Yeah, but I'm putting that into Path of Exile too. And you would be like, okay, well, if I have enough Artificer Orbs or if I have enough runes, I can just boop, 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 and I actually have a tiny bit of defense that I can't get anywhere else.
I don't think it should be at a rate where it's spammy, but I think like if you think back to Path of Exile 1, if I could put a craft on for say 4 or 5 transmutations, then you figure out whatever that percentage is less to make it so that if transmutes are dropping at X amount that you're getting, you know, a 10th of those, you should be getting 10% roughly of the Artificer Orbs so that you can still, because you're getting way too many runes early on with nothing to do with them.
You know what I did though?
What'd you do?
I didn't buy the stash tab.
What stash tab? Oh, me runes. Neither. I haven't bought it yet.
But I'm going to. It's only 50 points, but I'm going to. I just don't really need to yet because I'm still in the axe, so I can just tuck them in a stash tab and life goes on. I'm obviously going to get it, but you know what I did, Just? I added the tab, what's it called? The socketable tab. I added it to my wish list from the game.
And it worked.
I know.
I love that you love that.
I have no idea if it worked. I didn't even double check. And I know that's a really silly thing to be excited about because you do that with any other game. And it's like, yeah, obviously it's in. But in Path of Exile, that's cool. It was there. Like it's, you know, it's Path of Exile 2. It's not PoE 1. So that was exciting. So I just keep waiting for that email. I'm like, oh, one of your things is on sale. And it's still the pedometer ring. I swear I have the pedometer ring. I don't know why it's still on my wish list, but every like second week that dumb pedometer ring is on a sale. And so I keep getting, that's the only emails I get. And I keep waiting for, cause you know, I've asked for like, hey, you know, can we talk to Jonathan, or hey, can we talk to Mark, or I'm waiting for like, hey, can you merge my accounts? MTX. Like I'm still waiting for some of these replies. So I get an email from GGG. I'm like, oh, it's just the pedometer ring on sale. Oh, well.
They did a boss versus boss. Did you watch it?
I have not, mostly because I don't know what those two bosses are, but I will. I like the boss.
You definitely know the first one. You know Galida the Frost Tongue. She's the Act 1 crazy one that's literally in the very first zone.
Oh, is she in like the runes and she has all those dumb wolves?
Yep. She's also a boss that you fight like in one of the maps.
And Ignatia, where's that?
That is the I think that's the chick that rides around on the broom. You have to, gets you knocked off. I think that's Act 2.
I think it's Act 3. I haven't come across it yet.
I think it is
in my leveling process. And
no, it's Act 2. It's Act 2.
I've time traveled.
Yeah, it's in Act 2.
So it's funny because with the name Ignatia, I automatically assumed it was a woman. For some reason, the Shia is always... Woman, right? Well, I don't know, but like, I mean, I assume it is, but for some reason, the Shia, I was thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Also, Galida, I feel like she's missing an N in her name. Like Galinda. Yeah.
It makes her too grandma-y.
Well, she looks grandma-y. I mean.
Well, yeah, but bloody grandma-y.
Yeah. Just angry grandma-y.
Anyway, I haven't seen it.
No, me
I don't know who I'd cheer for, but I do enjoy those things a lot. My kids love Elden Ring boss videos, like when people go into the game and they like just take this, like they have boss tournaments. So my kids love those like Elden Ring boss tournament videos. So I'm catching up to my kids with Path of Exile here.
I'll have to watch that later. And then,
of course, there was a Talkative Tri podcast, and there was tons and tons and tons in that. It was a very good interview.
Like you actually got some information out of it with regards to PoE 2?
No. It was mostly one of those conversations where Jonathan couldn't say too much, but he was aware of a lot of issues that Tri brought up. Tri used a lot of personal experiences to bring up some suggestions as well. So it was one of those where it was more of an encouraging thing as opposed to informative. But still, it's easy to get into it's easy to forget that it's beta. And even sometimes when you don't forget that it's beta, it's easy for me to forget or get into the habit of like, well, this is just a frustrating experience right? Like I have to go through a frustrating experience, and then all that is to them is like, oh yeah, we need to fix that. That'll come at some point, right? So I go through like an hour of a really frustrating experience trying to see if it's a legit experience or a dumb balance thing with the boss or an item or whatever. And then to them, that's just like, yeah, we need to fix that. It'll happen. Maybe in point 1, maybe in point 2, maybe in point 3, whatever. And not whatever as an apathy. It's just one of those things where I have to remember, like, I'm playing a game that sometimes the stuff that I come across is crap. And so one of the things that was, to me, was informative is Jonathan specifically mentioned, Tri didn't because he's been focusing on different archetypes, but Jonathan specifically brought up that certain archetypes just suck. And he didn't say like builds, he didn't say skills, certain archetypes specifically suck. And they have a big character balance patch that is like, it's going to be so big and such an overhaul that it's going to be like the 0.3 or something like that. Not one of the decimals to 0.2, but one of the big ones like 0.3 or 0.4. So there were some good things. And then he was talking about a little bit of stuff, you know, like just the love of bosses and that there's eventually going to be bosses in every area. There's a lot of really good information there, but nothing that actually changes anything for us.
You know, you brought up a point about this character balance and who knows when that could come, 0.2, 0.3, whatever. But it makes me still wonder with regards to this idea of doing this 3-month cycle, like, do they hold off on putting stuff out then that we would really enjoy and would make it better just because they need enough content to make a new league in 3 months work? Like, I don't know, man. I'm curious to see how it goes. I don't like it because it's early access. Like, just do your thing. There shouldn't be a timeline to an early access game, in my opinion. I feel like it should be content driven, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, because I mean, they don't have to do leagues in the same way that they do leagues for Path of Exile 1, right? I mean,
but it sounds like that's the direction they're going. So,
well, but there's so much content to come out that it doesn't like that sounds easy. You know what I mean? Like, so they want to add wisps, or they want to add this. Well, there's other league mechanics they want that they've been slowly working on. And if one of them's ready, like that's your league, right? Like pretend strongbox isn't in the game. And then, so, okay, now strongboxes are ready. Okay, well, that's our new league. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but then if wisps are ready, but they're going to hold that off till the next one, so they at least have something. Do you know what I mean? Like, my concern is that they hold off on something that is new in order to wait till the next cycle or whatever it is, versus them pushing it out because it'll make the game better. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes for them.
Yeah, I think there's just so much to put out that I don't think. I think they'll definitely want to pace it out and throw some stuff out in the middle of, you know, quote unquote leagues, just because there's just way too much content to come out. I mean, they still have all their acts to come out. How many classes do they have to come out? And the classes have to come out and then get balanced.
So I still am curious though. Like, then I'm curious to see how they make 3 months work, because I feel like you end up holding on to something instead of releasing it in the middle of maybe a league that they're doing, because they need to hold it off for a 3-month cycle. So I don't know. Be interesting. Is that it for this week?
It is. So it might seem like a long time ago, but you died.
What do you mean? What? Like in game?
Not in real life.
A few times.
And
a couple times.
You died in hardcore in our private league a few times. You did phenomenal in our private league, by the way.
Oh, you'll have to check that in After Dark. I'm hoping I really want that tag.
You cursed yourself, and it was hilarious. You totally Count of Monte Cristo'd yourself. So
what?
In the Count of Monte Cristo, if you haven't read it or seen it, I'm spoiling it.
Greatest movie ever.
It's
so good.
It also came out in the late 1800s. So I think it was. Anyway, hang on. No, I can't misquote that.
The movie did not come out in the 1800s. I can promise you that.
You dummy.
Well, that's what you just said.
Dumas. The Count of... No, you're talking about the movie. I'm not talking
I said
about
greatest movie ever, and you said it came out in the 1800s.
I was ignoring you because I was still talking about the book.
That's how conversation works, Ty.
Yeah, ignoring is exactly how conversations work. Published in 1997. No, 1997. No, 2002.
That's not even close to 1800s.
When did it come out? Whatever. Count of Monte Cristo's been out for a long time. Okay. So if you... it was written a long time. You've got a problem. It was.
Okay. So if you haven't seen it or read it...
He was probably born in like 0 AD. So anyway.
It's your fault. But what does that mean? Count of Monte Cristo.
So they were very careful, right? These two, they're in love and they're going to get married, and he's just about to get promoted to captain so he can have money to support them and a
Kings
family
to you
and go
for
forward.
None. Anyway,
and so look at you. Guy Pearce is hot any day. So anyway, people keep talking to her like, oh, congratulations, Mrs. Smith. And they're calling her by his last name. But before they're married, she's like, no, don't do that. Don't curse the waters. Wait until I'm married, right? Blah, blah, blah. But people keep saying like, oh, hey, Mrs. Smith, or congratulations, Mrs. Smith, or what can we get you, Mrs. Smith? And, there's that constant like, no, not yet. It's too early. Don't curse it. And of course, something happens and they don't get married. So last week you were saying...
Hold on one sec. Let me clarify what you're talking about. So that when you say Count of Monte Cristo'd yourself, it's relating to the people referencing the girl that was going to be married, because in the movie that doesn't happen. So that's why
it does happen in the movie too. She mentions it a few times.
No,
at the beginning.
Really? I don't remember anybody ever saying it to her. Okay, but now I understand your reference when you say that, because I feel like we use this once in one of our titles.
I use it all the time.
I don't
just
get it.
People to know what I'm talking about.
Okay,
read the classic books, people. I mean,
it was out in the 1800s.
Don't. They're really boring now. But
is it?
I love the story, but it's almost like they're so old, so and you have to understand the culture, and you almost need like an encyclopedia to help you understand the culture, so then you can understand the books. Like you read Don Quixote now. Don Quixote, and it's hilarious sometimes, but it was way funnier because you have to understand the culture for any of it to be funny, right? Point is, last week we were talking about hardcore, and obviously we've gone through waves of being like hating and loving Path of Exile 1 and then hating and loving Path of Exile 2, and so we were just kind of at a state where you were really having a very frustrating time and you weren't encouraged at all to play Path of Exile 2. The private league comes out for us and you're having a great time. And you had a comment that said, I don't really see any of the things that I hated about Path of Exile 1 anymore. Like, because we were talking about, just like, it was more of a reference, like you stayed away from Path of Exile 1 for so long and you started playing Path of Exile 2. And your reference was kind of like, well, maybe the things that I hated Path of Exile 1 were just because I was so familiar with the game, as opposed to them just being really stupid things. Okay. So you said like, I don't really see the things that I hated anymore. I think it's just a great game. And then, a few days later, maybe 10 or 15 hours later.
Are you talking about my most recent death?
So a few things reminded you about why you hated Path of Exile 1. And I didn't mean to make that such a long intro.
Why I stopped playing.
Here I know. It's so awesome. So anyway, and I know on death things are still in Path of Exile 2 as well. Whatever. That was brought up as a funny thing in the interview. But anyway, so Tags 21, this is on... Oh, is this on my broadcast? This looks like Twitch chat that I clipped here. So anyway, Tags 21 says, I want on-death effects when I die in real life. Let's see who laughs then.
That's a great comment. I don't even remember writing that, but that is a great
I'm
comment.
sure you were a couple drinks in. But then later on through that, because we were talking with, it was myself and then Mighty. And and then Justin, or sorry, not Mighty, Mikey 01. And then Justin's like, and just FYI, if I die early and you come to my funeral, you've been warned. Now, outside of the
that's awesome,
the very sad circumstances of doing something like a terrorist act or something at something that horrible, it would be hilarious just from the video game land to be like, have this long delay on your death for this on death
audio, just to scare the shit out of everybody. Bang, 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 bang.
You're in your coffin, you're there, and then just like imagine being able to watch your own funeral.
Oh, that'd be
and
the
then
best.
You have this on death
like,
effect.
It's coming.
The amount of laughing you would do.
You know which I would use? I would want the audio sound from those stupid ass purple crystals. That's what killed my character. I totally forgot. That was my last character. So in the hardcore league, my final character was doing great. It was RF, having fun. We talk about like mob modifiers and like there needs to be rules about, which combos there can have. And they've done a decent job of that. But also, you should not let two rare mobs that you're fighting at the same time have the same one, because I didn't realize that both mobs had the explode on death crystals. And I'd killed one, moved out of the way, thought I was good. My screen was cluttered with loot. I couldn't see anything. and then I go to pick up 2 items and I'm instantly dead. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't see anything.
Because the loot filter does cover it up a little bit. Yep. And it's just that classic thing of you think the combat's done, so your brain turns off from danger because your reward is there. Victory. Let's check out the loot. Yeah. It is. So it's just that it's the classic thing. Like the visuals, they're there if you're looking for it, but when it's done, it's done.
I don't want to. Let me look at it when I'm fighting. That's fair. Yeah. What did they say about it in the interview? Did they talk about on death effects? You said that they...
well, they talked about stats. Like Jonathan was talking about that they have a data person now that knows the game really well. So they're not going to look at data without proper relevance, but they'll be able to look at it because they understand the game well. And so anyway, they were talking and there was some data stuff. And one of the sheets that they showed us through one of their tweets a month or so ago showed what percentage of map deaths were based on like what was it, like the volatile flowers or whatever they were, or the other things. And it was like it was a high number, like it was like 50-60%. So anyway, obviously they're aware of it, and that kind of stuff will get
aware and going like, haha, got them, or aware like, oh, we need to adjust that.
Well, honestly, probably both.
Yeah,
probably both, but it'll get fixed. They're gonna tweak it and not tweak it worse. But anyway, I loved the idea. So again, you have to kind of get past the mind that you pretend terrorist acts don't exist. Your on death effect in real life.
I want it.
Oh, it made me laugh. It made me laugh every time I've thought about it this week. One of those things where you're like giggling, about yourself.
I mean, no spelling mistakes, so I must have been like pretty good. I just don't remember it.
Yeah,
but that is good.
So this week I had I had a fantastic week in Path of Exile, thanks to you. I could not beat Jamiroquai at the end of Act 2. Right, for the last couple of weeks. Now, again, like don't think like I sit down and I'm playing 20 hours a week and I'm stuck on this boss. Like that's not how I play. I play like 2-hour sessions a week, right? Yep. So, if I'm trying a boss and I'm trying to actually see if it's just me sucking or it's just my build sucking, but the boss is well balanced or whatever it is, like, it takes actual gameplay time to figure out, right? Especially because I trust the community, and I especially trust our community, but at the same time, it's easy for any person to be like, well, I've heard that this boss is really bad, so it's bad, right? And I don't want to take that. I mean, it's probably true, but I still want to experience it to see what it's bad for. Maybe I have that one build that for some reason it's not bad. Like how many times did that happen in Elden Ring where everybody else says it's easy, but because of my build, it really sucked. But then there's other ones where like so many people had a horrendous time, but because of my bleed poison setup, it was phenomenal and easy. And it was, I would have.
You're still playing minions, so you're giving yourself
I am still playing minions, and I've had more validation through chat in our community. So thank you for those. Where it's just minions just through the leveling process,
they're not good.
Just suck. And so but because you beat Jamiroquai for me, which thank you for doing that.
Did it go smoother?
I've been progressing totally fine now. I'm still not out of Act 3, but I've done the time travel and I'm in the other area now. But I've been progressing. I've come across a few, like I've done Filth, I've done the floaty fire guy. Not the first time, but I don't feel like it's impossible. I die from something stupid. And so I'm like, okay, now I know I got to keep them on the screen because, I can't see that attack unless I'm high on the area level or like the
higher side.
Called? The
north
boss
side of
arena.
The screen. Yeah.
Right. And, some little tricks that you remember from Path of Exile 1. Some bosses, their big tells are high above their heads. So you got to do the whole boss fight at the top of the arena instead. So just the little things. But then I've been progressing fine. I mean, there's plenty of times where my minions are completely dead. So I go through and I do a few things, but I'll get into my week in a second. There was 2 things. So GGG's talked about like features coming out like they have for, the 0.1 and the runes and all that kind of stuff, the socketables. And they've talked lots about different things. But one thing that I think that they should emphasize. So GGG, if you do hear this, do try and remember, like take notes on the things you tell us that are coming out, because we need to know if they don't come out. So, for example, I spent about 2 hours this week trying to figure out how to make my scepter work on both weapon swaps. I didn't know that feature hadn't come out yet. They were talking about it like it was coming out on that next patch, and I don't remember if that was the exact wording, but I spent 2 hours this week, like a whole gameplay session, trying to figure out, like I'm looking online, I'm looking on Reddit. I'm like, how do I switch my weapon swap without swapping weapons? How do I weapon lock? And I can't remember the proper term. And so now I'm trying different terms. Yeah. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do that. And then I load the game on PC on mouse and keyboard. Maybe it's like really easy here, but they just screwed it up on controller. And then I'm gonna load it back up on the console again. And I'm like, no, it's not working. So I couldn't figure it out. And so I had that listed as like a bug report thing. Like there's nowhere on controller support to find, like there's nothing telling me how to lock a weapon for weapon swap. And then I listened to the interview and Jonathan's like, oh yeah, that hasn't come out yet. And I'm like, but I like the last time somebody mentioned it, it was coming out. Right. And so sure, I guess I could have gone through the patch notes, but then, you know, when I'm trying to figure something out quickly, if I knew I was going to spend 2 hours on it, sure, reading the patch notes would have saved me time, but I don't expect to be taking as long as I am to try and figure this out. Another thing that, no, this is a little bit different. You know how they were changing the size of areas to like be smaller?
Some of them. Mm-hmm.
I thought the Matlin wetlands, that's where like the dam where you have all the levers and it changes the water.
They did, and it's still awful.
It is huge.
Yes,
and you know what's crazy? Smaller. At the very end where you have the big lever, it's a checkpoint. It's not a waypoint. They need to find a way to put, when they have areas this big, they need to find a mapping system where you can have 2 waypoints in one area. You have to, because when you talk about, again, like the parent gamer.
What would you need a waypoint at that spot for?
What if you did that whole area, pause the game because your kids are busy or whatever, right? They added pause. They're adding this functionality for quality of real life. And the game turns off because you've been gone from the console for an hour or whatever.
And you didn't click the lever is what you're saying?
Yeah. Or what if you're not sure? You need to, you know what I mean? Like there's just these little things where it's like, I go through all of this and at the end, it's a temporary checkpoint.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's fair to say the assumption is when you get to that lever, you click the lever.
Sure. It's an assumption, but then you come back a week later and it's like, okay, did I do that? Oh shoot, I don't know. Where do I go? What's next? Like it's a long process to, like, some of these maps are so big that I need to have the time to either watch a movie or do these couple areas because waypoints are so far and few between. And if I get called for dinner and I've already been trying to progress for 30 minutes, but I don't have another waypoint. Like it's if you know where you're going, fine.
Yeah, it's not as bad if you know where you're going. It's a very
frustrating thing when you don't know where you're going, which is something that they need to consider, right? For new player retention. If you've been playing for half an hour and you don't know, like, if you can go for dinner or not, that's very frustrating. Especially because when you come back, sure, you come back in that exact same spot, but the map is gone. Like, it's the same map, but the fog of war is back. And it's like, well, do I go up, down, left, right? Like, am I like, and then you go and you do like your extra 20 minutes, but then it's like, I'm back at the beginning. What the?
You hit the waypoint. You're
right?
like,
but then,
oops.
Right. But then you die. So then all the monsters respawn again. And you're like, but, and you're just, nope. And you just reset the area. You know what I mean? So I just think there needs to be, the campaign needs to be more interruptible, needs to be capable of being interrupted without it being tedious. And so I know that they made some of those changes, but when I went through the Matlin wetlands, I was like, maybe they forgot to do this area because this is insane between check parts.
They removed, I think, 6 levers and it's still terrible.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still brutal.
Anyway, like or even if you don't do 2 waypoints, like have a waypoint at the end, because that's the important part to see, okay, did I actually do the big lever? Did I do what I needed to do in the wetlands? And then instead of having like that second waypoint, which would be at the beginning of the area, have a waypoint where the entrance to that area would be from the other map.
Well, they have that already. The waypoint to the entrance to that area is when you put in the big red crystal. That's what enters you into the wetlands. So there is a waypoint down there.
Well, then they should add a waypoint like right at the end, just like every area. Give it a waypoint.
I don't know if it needs a waypoint though, because I mean, I think it's fair to say that when you get to that point, you click the lever. But I do think that the zone sucks. like really bad. I also think like when you pull that lever at the end, it doesn't totally like all of a sudden it pops up the map and it threw me off. It's thrown me off every single time. Like it pops up the map as if you're supposed to know something. Now I know I'm just teleporting back and everything's good. I can go down into the lower area.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I like the peace of mind of being able to double check things. I do. I get that it's redundant, but I like the peace of mind of being able to double check things.
But if you can't walk down the stairs, you didn't do it. Like if in Act 3 you can't walk down the stairs because the water's been removed, you didn't do it. Clicking that lever is what allows you to start moving down the stairs in Act 3's zone.
Sure. But there's other areas where if you had that same mentality, like the Chimera fight in Act 2, I did the whole area and didn't find where I needed to go. And then I had to go for dinner or whatever. And the next time I play, I did the Chimera area again. I didn't realize that the exit, because the exit's like just far off on the left of that Chimera fight where you need to go.
That's Act 3.
Whatever. I did
I didn't know to go in the door the first time I did it.
I didn't even see it because it's just at that awkward distance away. Kind of like some of the crafting recipes in Path of Exile 1 and some of those boss fights. It's just quite far north that if it's your first playthrough, you're going to miss
what's
them.
The suggestion though? I feel like some of that stuff just comes with time. Like the more times you play it.
Sure, but it's an extremely frustrating experience if you don't know any better and you're trying to find out where to go and you have to do that whole area again and again and again and again and again and again, right? Chimera fight's not always going to be in the same spot when the map not reloads, but re-renders. So anyway, it's just one of those things where that peace of mind of being close to something like that's important, especially after such a tedious length. And I didn't mean to talk like that. That was supposed to be like a 30-second comment. It wasn't supposed to be
I agree with you that the zone sucks. I don't on the waypoint side, but the zone itself is brutal. It's not a fun zone. It takes way too long.
Also this week, you need to get it?
No, it will be a long conversation if I take it.
This is the first time I've reached Act 3 since Spectres have been added to the game. And I guess what the first Spectre, I like the Spectre that I was so excited to try out. You'll never guess. Of course you're going to guess. Act 3, my most hated for my first playthrough. Hated? Well, yeah, that's the best. That's the best Spectre for everybody.
The enemy you hate the most. In Act 3.
Yeah, the River Hags. Sure. Oh, This one says River Hangs, but yeah, River Hags. I was so excited to get them. They cost 100 spirit, man.
I think all the Spectres are pretty expensive.
They are. Well, even those skeletons though, like I'm in Act 3 and I can have three skeletons outside of the skeletal warriors. Like I could have 3 frost mages. I could have 3. Like that's expensive. Like that is not a lot to help me progress through. Like it's like the whole thing needs to get revamped a little bit. But
to have a river hag, you've got to replace all of your skeletons.
That's the only thing I can have, right? With the exception of the tiny bit that I have from Quest. But it was 100. So I'm like, I'm running around. I'm like, screw this. I'm playing with it. Yeah, you betcha they're great. So I'm walking around. I have 1 river hag. I'm walking around and I'm fighting 5 other river hags. No joke. Like I actually took a video and I'm going to post it into GGG's like feedback section. And the title's going to be WTF. I'm just leveling. And it's just going to be a pic. It's no joke. I have 6 of those balls just chasing me. And the funny thing is I have my river hag and I'm like, I can't tell if it's mine or not.
That's true.
But it's there, but they don't have a different color.
Yeah.
For the swirl pool.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's a dangerous swirl pool. So now I just have more to avoid. And I'm watching and I'm like, that's not that bad damage for what it is, for the enemies that stay still anyway. And it was fine, but I'm like, 100? I get 1 swirly pool? And I can't even tell the difference between these and the other ones. Like they kind of like, it should be like, all my Spectre stuff is blue or black and shaded compared to what it is. Like, I don't think you need to change the enemies, but figure a way out for me to be able to tell the difference between my Spectre and the real enemy, including their skills. But just little things that need to be done. But I was really disappointed when I saw it. I was like, oh, it's 100. Well, can't use that. But I played around with it for a little bit. And then I was extra disappointed when I tried to go through the River Hag section with the River Hag and couldn't, because I couldn't tell what I needed to avoid or not. But I wasn't expecting it to be great. I was expecting it to be stupid and just something that I personally hate. But I have been playing through, and the changes that they have made to loot, I love the RNG cheat that they have done that we've actually wanted for forever, but I get it's mathematically cheating, but I love the RNG cheat of a blue chest guarantees a blue item, a rare chest guarantees a rare item. I love it. I absolutely love it. To me, that's not cheat.
I think it's great.
Oh, I do think it's great. And one thing that I am nervous about, though, like still loot is right? But they have like a third of the base types, a fifth or a third, a half of the base types and the wet item classes that are going to be in the game. So I'm wondering how much they're caring about, like they have a loot patch now, but I'm curious how much they're thinking about the items that still need to come versus drop rates and mods and stuff like that. Because I'm still, even though they've paid much more attention to mods, like for me to get resists on any item as I've been leveling, no, it's still like accuracy, it's mana, it's added fire damage, it's never anything regarding survivability. So I'm looking forward to it, but I am enjoying it a lot more. Like I've actually been able to progress. I've had a really fun time this week in Path of Exile going through. I mean, skeletons still suck, but I'm like enjoying trying to figure it out, mixing my combinations between whether I'm self-casting curses or minion on death curses. I'm really enjoying culling the enemies when they're around, which is kind of forcing me to throw zombies in there. And so every time I see a power charge, I hit the zombie button, and it's amazing how efficient zombies are. Like when there's corpses around, I'm doing well, right? So I'm enjoying that. And then, I go from like, okay, I've gone through a few bosses where my skeletons have done absolutely nothing. So then, I just load up, I get rid of all my skeletons and I load up a whole bunch of skeletal warriors and I just make them explode nonstop. And, that's kind of fun. So I've been having fun going back and forth. It's still a really crappy experience in terms of like it's slow because I'm using skeletons or minions. Which is unfortunate, but it's not frustrating to the point where I'm not playing. Like I'm progressing slowly and I know I'm playing a build that isn't great, an archetype that's currently not great. So
I know you said you ascended. What direction were you going with the ascension? Like were you going Lich or were you going?
Yeah, I'm the Lich, and I unspec'd out of my original one. I wanted to see how bad the mana drain was on the
early on
holy what was it, Holy Might? Is that what it's called? On the Holy Might side, where it's like you're getting that extra chaos damage. And then it has that 5% mana drain on the side. So I want to see what that was like with only like 4 or 5 nodes invested into mana regen along with clarity. I wanted to see what that situation was like. Unfortunately, skills like zombies cost a stupid amount. And when you couple that with curses, it's just too much. So I unspec'd out of that and I spec'd into the right side where mana regen doesn't exist, but you get the mana regen based on your maximum mana or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and that's been a lifesaver. I absolutely love it. And awesome, so it saved me a few nodes for investment on the tree to put somewhere else, which of course doesn't help skeletons at all in the current state, but it's so that's where I'm at. And Justin, I did want to go all murderous this week when I tried doing the bosses.
When you sent me text. Is this when you started messaging me?
Yeah, because I started doing the bosses with
Ultimatum,
right? So I'm like level 30, 35, whatever it is. Like I'm not a bad level. Right? I'm like 2 levels above what the area level is. But yeah, it's for the second ascension. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, well, I mean, this is when they start unlocking. This is where they start giving me the stuff. So I'm going to go through and I'm checking the area level. Like I'm fine for area level. Mm-hmm. All my gems are leveled up and like I know what I'm doing. And so I go through and like the one trial where you just have to survive for 90 seconds as they just start throwing more and more enemies at you.
The blood thing in the middle. Yep.
My minions are literally always on countdown. Like I have nothing available.
You're just
it is. I barely have time to cast. So I throw on like my enfeeble with decaying hex. I throw that on cast on minion death because they're just going to die. That's the only hope I have of not having a screen of enemies that have never died. So it's hilarious. Like what is a skeleton player supposed to do for 90 seconds besides run around like a chicken with their head cut off? But I go through, and the other ones where you're supposed to clear every enemy, or I don't like the one where you have to get the Val crystals and it starts eating away at your life. I don't like that, but it was
starts
doable.
Eating away at your life?
Yeah, if you hold on to it, it starts draining your life. You have to.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you're not protected in the animation when you're.
I know.
That's so stupid, man. It is so stupid. So anyway, but I go through and I get there, and so but I'm consistently getting to the boss. Right at that 4th trial, I'm consistently getting to the boss.
I don't know how you got that one the same. So many
I got
times.
it like 4 times in a row. This stupid I don't know how many bosses there are
3.
For that first one. That I got 2 birds every single time, but for the first 4 attempts, like I'm still leveling as I'm going through. So I'm like, may as well retry it. Like life goes on.
XP,
I'll be fine. Yeah, whatever. I am leveling. I got like 4 levels as I'm retrying, going over and over. I feel like I'm level 80 and I'm still trying to ascend for the second time. I'm not. I'm in my 40s now, but I got this bird.
Oh yeah.
That it's talking about fine, but it does kill my skeletons immediately with many different attacks. And like I've invested in their survivability, but it has a tornado.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was already really annoyed by the strength and speed of the tornadoes in the Jamiroquai fight. But
this is way worse.
It is
way worse.
It drains your life like
instantly. It's so fast.
It almost is instant. Like as soon as you start losing life, there's nothing you can do. It's just too fast. So it may as well be instant. But then it's huge,
so big and quick.
AOE is ginormous. Like, and it can cast it right on you.
Yeah, it almost always does.
Like.
You have to move all the time, but if you don't have a good enough movement speed, you're dead. You will never ever outrun it.
Speed?
Yeah, right.
What's movement speed? I haven't seen one item that has even told me movement speed exists. Now, obviously, I know movement speed exists, but here I am, and I'm like there's literally situations where I could not do anything. I am constantly moving because I'm used to my minions being dead. Like that's the only way I've gotten this far. And I am constantly moving, but this AOE is so big and the drain is so huge that like, it gets cast on me. I literally have, like, I'm still moving, but I'm dead before I even get like halfway out of this tornado.
I can't believe you got it that many times in a row. That's super unlucky. Because Ty messages me and I said something like, "Oh, that sucks," and you're like, "No, that's the boss," and I'm like, "No, there are other ones."
I'm like, I'm getting good at every other aspect of the boss because I assumed it was the only one. Then I got the other one that was like,
which isn't fun either.
The turkey one,
yeah,
but I don't remember that boss fight because I only got it twice, and then at the end, I'm like, okay, I'm tired of leveling for the sake of leveling. I want to progress. So I went on with the campaign instead of ascending a second time. But I don't remember what made that boss so unfun. It spawns
a little like second boss with it. And it makes it very hard.
Right. Yes. And that was actually really good for the skeletons, and it would leave its corpse behind. So it gave me 1 zombie. But at the end of the day, all I could do was enfeeble.
It has some sort of pulsing damage that does a lot of damage.
I had a frustrating time with that one too, but I don't remember why. But I do remember my minions were never alive again.
The best is the like dragon chimera boss. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's probably the easiest to fight. For sure it is the easiest to fight. That's the first one I got almost every time is the chimera one. If I get the one with the friggin' twisters, I'm out. I will never be able to kill that thing.
How have I not heard that? Like, is that not something people have problems with? Do people have so much damage at that point where that boss gets deleted? Like,
people hate it. No, there's no way you're doing that
on
your first one.
Still exist?
I don't know.
Like, how does an AOE that literally takes up half the battle arena? How does that still in the? How does that make the game?
I don't know. The worst part is the next time
and they're like, "This is it right here."
The next time you do ultimatum, you have to kill all 3.
Well, I'm not doing ultimatum ever again.
Yeah, just not doing it.
I'm not doing Trials of Sekhem ever again. I'm not doing the Ultimate ever again. So I hope the next one's really good. Honestly, if it's tower defense or like the MOBA, seriously, Justin, like I was laughing to myself. I think I might have typed this in Discord. I never, ever, ever thought that I would actually hope that this 3rd ascension that has yet to officially be revealed, I feel so hypocritical hoping that it's Izaro and the labs.
I had to do labs a lot in PoE 1 in our private league, and I kind of felt like cheerful going through them. Well, I was like, it was just chill. I didn't even care. And this is hardcore. And I was just like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll run through here. No big deal.
I was the same. I'm hugging the right. I can recognize when it's like one of those areas where it doesn't help you progress. It just, it's an extension to the lab, like making something easier, you get something or whatever it is. And so I'm like, oh, no, I can skip that. Go. And I just hug the right. Like I never use, what's that site everybody uses?
PoE lab. I use it all the time. Yeah. Love it.
I just hug the right and I just keep going and going and going. Then I'm there. It's great. Don't care if it's a two-handed version or it doesn't matter which kind of Azaro it is. Doesn't matter what the little pedestals are going to be. Just go.
Just happy to be here. And I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. Every now and then I'm like, oh, I got a little too apathetic there. And you keep going. But like, I still hate it. But it feels so good compared to what you have to go through. So anyway, I don't know if that stuff's ever going to change. But Brandon was chatting, one of our patrons, with us this week, and he mentioned because we were talking about like possibility of using 2 scepters last week and adding more spirit to a build. But then, of course, acknowledging that could easily be walked on by non-minion builds that would really take advantage of a lot of spirit as well.
They already do it.
But Brandon brought up a good point of, and we brought it up already today as well, but just lowering the cost of minions. Like, what's wrong with me having 4 frost mages near the beginning? Like, if I'm going through Geonor and I have 2 frost mages, like, that's crap, right? But if you give me 4 or 5, if they're still doing piddly damage or they still have crappy health, at least I have 4 or 5. Like, 2 are still alive while the 3 others are rezzing. You know what I mean? Like, it supplements the crappy survivability, or not necessarily survivability because it resets the counter a bit, but at least it supplements the crappy damage a bit when you have a little bit more. So it's not necessarily that, it keeps the same ratio of cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as the gem levels up. But if you give me a decent quantity at the beginning, at least I feel like I'm a minion build, not just having like a skeletal BFF that's throwing a little frost beam every now and then. It was a good idea.
I've never liked that minions decrease in spirit cost as they level up. I think minions should increase in damage as they level up, but I think spirit should be the same all the way through. It makes it planning easier, especially because the alternative, which I think would be beneficial on one side, is that they're cheaper in the beginning and they become more expensive in spirit as they get better or stronger. But I still don't like that option because I want to be able to plan around spirit. I want to know it's going to cost me X amount of spirit. I just feel like minions should be a flat, lower spirit cost, and their damage is what scales, not the spirit.
I think the damage does scale. That's the next thing that the game needs. Yeah, better is nice. Yes, and agreed. Not because damage is better, but because they do need more damage. But that is the next thing the game needs. Specters need it, but even the minions that they were released with, that the game released with, need it. They need tabs that actually show what the skills the minions use are, not just the command skills. Like, for example, frost mages don't have a tab when you go into like the advanced settings that show the damage of their regular frost attack.
I swear to God, it shows that on PC.
The zombies don't have anything that shows what damage their regular melee attack does.
Huh.
So there's 2 screens, right? There's the informative description screen where for me, we push down on R3 and we can scroll around, and that's where you can like read the text, like what is defense, what is armor, what is attack. But then you also, when you're in the skills gem screen, you can click on advanced information.
Mm-hmm.
The tags and descriptions of what those skills actually are not there. So like there's like a default attack, but it just gives you a number. It doesn't give you the information you need to properly do it. So for example, I load up the River Hag. Okay, well, that's a green swirl of what looks like water. Maybe it's mist, but it looks pretty watery. Okay, well, cold damage in this game is a little bit blue, a little bit white. This is green. Okay, well, nothing's green. Even chaos is purple. So what scales this?
Are you talking about the circle ball?
Whatever it is, it's green. There's nothing visually that helps me scale this.
So I'm asking, is it the circle sphere or is it the circle that it puts on the ground?
Doesn't the sphere turn into the water?
No, there's 2 attacks. So there's one where it puts on the ground that's stationary.
Yeah.
And then there's one that chases you. And the one that chases you is magical damage. It doesn't even make sense. It's because when it attacks you, all of a sudden your screen starts to go and it's like, this doesn't exist anywhere. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. I hope that's happening to the enemy. I hope your field of vision is getting really crappy right now, enemy. Yeah. but like, that's an example. Like, I need that tab. I need to know. I mean, I assume it's a spell, but this game is trying to remove what assumptions are, right? Remove the need of assumptions.
I thought I could see that on my minions for some reason. I'd have to double check, but I thought I could see that.
Well, I mean, maybe not. Hopefully it's not just missing on controller support, but if it only is missing on controller. So yeah, you do. I love that you're a convert, man. I love that you're a convert.
Got me, buddy.
So, but anyway, it's just one of those things, like stuff needs to happen, of course, and there's a lot of fun things to laugh about. Obviously, some of these the bosses have been my biggest hindrance so far, which is too bad. But hopefully all that needs is a tweak, and hopefully there's a lot of people speaking up, and hopefully it's not just me that's having a trouble with Jamiroquai, that's having trouble with this dumb ascension at the 4th wave mark of Ultimatum. There was a couple others that were driving me nuts, but it's just the nice thing is those are tweaks. You know what I mean? That all it takes is that next patch where it's be like, oh, this boss has been changed. They've done that with Jayanor. As much as I still don't like that fight, it has improved so much to the point where I could tolerate it if it stayed at that. GGG, if you hear it, please don't like be happy with the state of it, but like I'm capable of that fight now. I was so impressed with the changes they made. Even Wrathbreaker at the beginning of Act 2, that was one that I previously hated with my minions. It's improved a lot. So, there's like, I'm looking forward to the progress, but there are some times where I'm like, as the process is what it is, it's been frustrating. But I've had a lot of fun getting through.
I was trying to figure out what boss you were talking about. I was like, Jayanor, and I'm trying to think like, he's talking about the one in Act 2 that he hated at the end, but that's Jamiroquai, and it took me until now to realize Gregory. Thank you.
Yeah, Gregory. Yeah, I know you're
who is that? Then you move to Wrathbreaker. I'm like, I got it. I know who we're talking about.
I remember that combo. Yeah, they're 2 peas in a pod. So I'm having a great time. I really am. I'm at a stage now where even though I know minions suck, or skeletons suck, I shouldn't say minions. Skeletons suck. I'm at a state now where I can still progress with them and figure them out and play around with spirit. Still have, like, it's tough to play around with spirit when you don't have a lot, when minions cost so much, but still it's fun. So, but I'm kind of at a stage now where and I know we're running late, so my apologies, but I'm kind of at a stage now where sometimes I feel like just casting Frostbolt all the time. I love that chill, right? I love that chill. And then when I'm using minions, I still have a really tough time. And maybe this is only because spirit's so, like, I don't feel like there's enough of it for me. I have a tough time using cast on minion death for 60 spirit, because that could be 1 or 2 more of what I really need.
It's definitely not a good option leveling wise, like early on. It's so expensive. Yeah.
But even then, like, even if I have 10 skeletons later, I could have 12. You know what I mean? Like, it's still like that extra amount where it's always going to eat at me. So last night I was playing around on PoE Planner because my wife was broadcasting, so I couldn't use PoB. And I actually like PoE Planner for the tree stuff. I do really like it, but they don't have any of the gems available yet. But I guess that's also another good thing. Like, when you're close to the game, it's fun to be able to load the game and be like, let's see what there is. You know what I mean? Especially with how they organize it now. Like, you highlight your skill, and then, or you click on the support and you highlight your skill, and it just shows you everything that works for it. But that's another reason why you need the tabs, right? Because it could be that support is referencing the command for your minions as opposed to the minion skill. But either way, I'm kind of at the stage now where it's like, if I'm doing minions, I don't want to reserve any spirit except for minions. So I'm going to get away from curses and minions, and I'm just going to use go defense instead of curses, right? Whereas if I'm going to be self-casting, then it's like all triggers. I've kind of come to that conclusion where I know it's always going to eat me. If I'm using spirit for something that isn't minions, it's going to drive me nuts that I'm not fulfilling all my spirit with minions. So I've learned that about myself, Justin. It's triggers or minions, but not both.
Yeah. I mean, they might work better when you're at endgame, when you just have better ways to get more spirit. But
I'm getting there. Me and my negative resists, we're getting there.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled, 295. Just naked tags.
295. I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons will catch you in After Dark. Everybody will see you next week in 296. If you're looking for more information, we got a website, foreverexiled.com. The very funnest, yes, I said it, Discord in the area. Come in, say hi. Patrons are the way to support the podcast. You find them down below. Have a great week.